What's going on, folks? What's going on? It's your boy Kenny B. Um, Coming to talk to you. Just as I normally do. My thoughts, my observations, my general musings and questions about the things of this world. Well, one thing I'm questioning. So my oldest son is in high school now. Time flies, I tell you. He's in high school now. So with that, means I'm around teenagers more, high school age teenagers. And so he's interested in sports, football specifically. So we've been to two or three football games in this young season so far. And I grew up playing ball, so it's a part of me. In my head I'm still a football player, even though my time is past seasons ago. But I still love it. I still love the smell of the grass, especially high school ball. People will tell you across the board it's something just genuinely sweet about high school ball. But so I'm at these games, and of course, you can't help but start reminiscing on your time and the environment, the everything that came with it. Well, one thing that I've noticed, from watching the players anyway, is kind of like you see the different hand motions and stuff like that. Now nothing wrong with celebrating after a play, nothing wrong with having a good time. These should be some of the best 4 years of your life. These are memories that's gonna stay with you forever. Nobody's saying don't enjoy yourself. We celebrated when we made good plays, did little dances, little gyrations and stuff like that. But I'm noticing a part of celebrations are more like hand signals, hand signs or whatever, and they seem to be like gang related, street, heavily influenced by street culture. They got, you got the one where they doing like this, and I've seen stuff where they wipe nose, thumbs down, and this little one where they cover their mouth and then wave the hand out in front. And listen, I'm old, I'm a square. So of course I don't know what any of this stuff mean. I'm like, what does that mean? What is that? Why is he doing that? And so I asked my kids, who in that TikTok space and all that kind of stuff. And some of them they have confirmed are like gang signs or gang affiliations, or you see the little the hand stuff they put up, or like that, everything is a hand sign, everything. And I just wonder like what that stuff mean, and do these kids know what that stuff mean? And not even just the signs, but the open gunplay of seem like everything. They catch a ball for a first down. Sometimes they ain't even for a first down, but catch a ball for a first down. They want to point for have like the scope, point forward. Everything a gun. Or even I've seen where a guy will make a tackle or stop or whatever. Then he like lift his shirt up like he's showing, like to show his waist, like to show he's strapped. Kid, what are you doing? Like, and with all this stuff going on, it makes me like, are the adults in the room okay with this? Like, when your kid jump up and make a play, jump up and does a gun like he's spraying or whatever, are you looking at look at my baby just spraying a crowd? Are we? Is this okay? Is this gun coach, this street life gun culture? Is this so? And it ain't only the inner city kids. It's the suburban schools, to the most suburban of suburbanized kids in the history of suburbia. They doing it too. And so it makes me just, a lot of questions, I guess. Are these kids truly gang affiliated with some of these hand motions and signs and all that? Are they just mimicking what they see in TikTok, or mimicking whatever probably rapper they follow, and just mimicking that stuff without understanding the weight of the meanings of this stuff? But I think that's where parents come into place too. You know, are the coaches handcuffed and monitoring that and you know, like, hey, you know, chill out on that, da da da. Because I remember growing up, again, it was eons ago, but you couldn't even use profanity on the field. You couldn't even cuss on the field, let alone simulate having a gun, let alone, like, especially the one where he lift up the shirt, like, to show his waist like he's strapped. That to me was like egregious. That's almost like, what you trying to say, bro? Like, um, you know, and my generation of parents, we were the kids who got the anti-gang violence, you know, propaganda the most. You know, hey, don't join gangs, don't do this gang stuff. Go get education instead. Go get a job instead. You know, and it's like, are we allowing our kids to revert to backtrack into that stuff? Listen, and I'm self-admittedly a square. I'm a square. I was a church boy. My parents ain't. Most of all, my parents ain't play that. You know, I didn't even sag my pants. You know, when sagging first became a big thing. My hand keeps slipping. When sagging first became a big thing, like, my parents just ain't play that stuff. And I'm your prototypical in this world, but not of this world. I grew up around that stuff. I knew people in that stuff. I knew people who spent time in jail, you know, over street stuff. I know people who lost their life because of street stuff. It just never appealed to me. Even when I was in high school or young adult or whatever, teenager, it just never appealed to me. You know, again, my natural inclination is that I'm a square though. You know, I was in honors classes and stuff. I was doing my schoolwork, and I'm trying to make it to college. But I knew people, you know, who hung out. You know, no, I ain't hang out with them, but I knew what they was doing, and it just never appealed to me. And again, a lot of these kids, you know, these are the most entitled crop of kids ever, the most suburbanized kids ever. You know, I get there's still a population that's still in that element. You know, it's just a cycle that has continued. But a lot of these kids that I've observed in a way, they ain't about that life for real. You know, they putting on the front for of what they see or what they think is cool. And that just makes me wonder, where are the parents? You know, where are the adults in the room? You say, hey, don't jump up like you trying to brandish a gun. Don't make these hand signals that we know are linked to gang activity, because you never know who gonna see this and think you repping a set that they feud with, and now you caught up in something, you know, something that you know have no knowledge of. And it's just, and you see it even in the college level, you know, down the NFL, you know, and just keeping in line of football players. The NFL has tamped down on that, because there were some players who used to hop up and make the first down signal like they aiming a gun or whatever, and they squashed that. They said, hey, you getting penalized and fined. So that stopped that. By and large, college, I don't know what they have in place in college, but they definitely need to put something in place in the high school level. We can't openly just promote that, man. We can't openly just be okay with that. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and say that street culture stuff, man. And we know this to be fact. So what I'm saying shouldn't be controversial. That street culture stuff is a dead end. Like, literally, it's a dead end. And if these are young men that we hope to have better outcomes than us, we got to steer them away from what led to our outcomes. You know, not necessarily shelter them, because you should be knowledgeable of the stuff that's out there. So that, I believe that when you make your kids knowledgeable of this stuff, and the whole picture of it, they see it for what it is, and they realize this stuff ain't cool. That's what my parents did. You know, I saw the outcomes of over alcohol consumption or heavy street life and stuff like that, or some of the other, traps that young people can fall into. And I was like, and me wanting to be me wanting to be as success minded as possible, I didn't see the success in it. So why would I do it? But I know a lot of kids may not get that, but when adults are around who have the ability to influence kids in that way, I believe you should try to have that kind of influence and steer them away from those type of outcomes. And emulating that life it ain't it. Jumping up and throwing up gang signs or whatever, or simulating gunplay and all this kind of stuff. And to my core, I know it's probably largely just what they see in social media, and how easy it is to, I listen to Lil Duke and Lil Duke be doing this in his videos, and so I'm or even seeing your favorite athletes do it or whatever. You get influenced by it or all this stuff, and you probably ask them what it means. They probably don't even know. They say, I saw it on TikTok. I saw it here. Okay, well, you need to stop if you don't even know what it means. But big picture, I think it's a call for parents or the adults in their lives, the coaches or whatever case may be, to set these kids straight, man. Like that stuff, we supposed to be a village. Like, village these kids.